I do not use the word greatest lightly. I have watched a lot of television. I have a lot of opinions about what great television looks like. Scam 1992 is the greatest biographical drama I have ever seen on any screen in any language. Not the most fun. Not the most comfortable. The greatest. And I want to tell you exactly why. Scam 1992, the Harshad Mehta story is a 10-episode Indian web series on Sony Live released in 2020. It tells the story of Harshad Mehta, a stockbroker who exploited loopholes in India's banking system in the late 1980s and early 1990s to manipulate the Bombay Stock Exchange and accumulate what was then an almost incomprehensible amount of wealth. It is based on the book The Scam by journalists Sucheta Dalal and Debashis Basu. Pratik Gandhi plays Mehta. The show is directed by Hansel Mehta. Harshad Mehta is not a sympathetic character by the end of this story. That is not what the show asks you to feel. What it asks you to understand is why millions of Indians found him sympathetic at the time. He was a self-made man in a system rigged for inherited wealth and institutional connections. He found the loopholes not because he was uniquely corrupt but because he was uniquely curious and uniquely desperate, and the loopholes were there to be found. The first half of the series lets you share in the intoxication of his success because you need to understand why he kept going when any rational person would have stopped. When the second half shows you what stopping might have looked like and why he could not see it, the tragedy is real because the earlier episodes made it real. Pratik Gandhi was not a well-known actor before this series. He became one because of what he did here. Mehta is not a man who shows you what he is feeling. He shows you what he wants you to think he is feeling, which is different. Gandhi has to play two things simultaneously, the version of Mehta that Mehta presents and the version of Mehta that exists underneath it. In scenes where those two versions align, Gandhi is magnetic. In scenes where they do not, he is terrifying. The performance is the kind that makes you aware, as you are watching, that you are watching something exceptional. I did not know his name before this show. I have watched everything he has been in since. Most biopics about financial fraud make the fraudster the villain. Scam 1992 makes the system the villain. Mehta's fraud was enabled by a banking system with catastrophic structural gaps, a regulatory environment that was decades behind the market it was supposed to oversee, and a culture in which officials who should have been catching problems were either complicit or indifferent. Mehta is not absolved by this. He made choices. But the show has the intelligence to show you that a different person in the same position could have done exactly the same things, because the invitation was there for anyone willing to take it. That is more disturbing and more honest than a story about one uniquely evil man. The story of Sucheta Dalal, the journalist who broke the story, is woven through the series with as much care as Mehta's arc. She is not a hero in the simple sense. She is a reporter who finds a story that is bigger than she expected and follows it despite pressure from institutions and individuals who have significant reasons to want it buried. Her story is about what journalism requires when journalism matters. I found her arc more emotionally affecting than Mehta's in several scenes, because she is trying to do something for reasons that are not about self-interest, and the cost of that is real in ways that her arc does not minimize. Scam 1992 is not an exception. It is a data point in a larger story about what Indian streaming is producing right now. The combination of genuinely extraordinary acting talent, stories with historical and cultural specificity that cannot be made anywhere else, and a willingness to engage with institutional complexity rather than flatten it into good and evil, is producing television that the rest of the world should be paying more attention to. If you have never watched Indian streaming drama, this is where you start. If you have watched Indian streaming drama and you have not watched this, correct that immediately. Scam 1992 is on Sony Live. 10 episodes. Watch it from episode 1 and give it 4 episodes before you decide anything about it. By episode 4 you will not be deciding anything because you will be watching episode 5. Subscribe for more recommendations from Asian television that is genuinely worth your time.